الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهم وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا عتت عن أمر ربها ورسله فحاسبناها حسابا شديدا وعذبناها عذابا نكرا فذاقت وبال أمرها وكان عاقبة أمرها خسرا. أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب الذين آمنوا قد أنزل الله إليكم ذكرا رسولا يتلو عليكم آيات الله مبينات ليخرج الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور ومن يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا قد أحسن الله له رزقا. الله الذي خلق 7 سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما.
Assalamu alaikum. As the gender war rages on, in order to bring the peace, we must discuss the exact facts. Welcome to Ex-Faktly. Assalamu alaikum. I am your host, Saad Imam. Remove your shoes and enter upon your right foot, upon the right state of mind, bi'iznillah. Topic: red flags. How many of us have them? When seeking a mate, Muslimah or Muslim, there are indeed red flags to avoid. There are red flags with gray to avoid. There are post and pre-nikah flags to observe. We all may have them on any particular level. Nevertheless, we are here for it, to discuss it. These may not, or they may be specific to Muslims, and some of them may or may not be specific to kuffar. Nevertheless, red flags are red flags. We are living at a time when Iman is scarce, Iman is low, and red flags, how many of us have them? Islamically or un-Islamically. Red flags can be deal breakers. So we will discuss those that are crucial for the outline, which is pre-nikah red flags, post-nikah red flags that are ambiguous or red flags that are non-tangible, so on and so forth. We'll go through it. Let's get to it. But what red flags are indicating that we should not move forward? As for Muslims, we are told that a woman is married for 4 reasons. That is wealth, that is nobility, that is beauty, which encompasses sex or attraction, and lastly for deen, her religiousness, her righteousness. And we are told that deen should be the main focus of us. If not, our hands may be covered with dust, meaning that we would not be successful in this endeavor. Nevertheless, we are ordered, Fankihu mataba lakum min nisa, marry those whom you like or those that seem suitable to you among the women. And it is not out of Islam or against Islam to marry for wealth, to marry for beauty, to marry for nobility or status. It is not outside of Islam, of course, to marry for deen. But what red flags indicate the lack of deen? What red flags indicate the lack of deen? This should be easy for Muslims. And if non-Muslims are listening, watching, then you may feel free to apply this to your situation. One is cursing, foul language. Islamically, we know that cursing is a bad sign of bad behavior, and it is anti-belief for a person to have a foul mouth. So don't ignore a foul mouth when seeking a mate, male or female. Don't ignore a foul mouth, because that shows low intelligence and low adherence to whatever standard or whatever religion they are upon. It shows a low adherence. So therefore, do not ignore the words that come out of their mouths that are obscene, that are coarse. Why? Because when they become angry, those words will be targeted toward you. They will be inflicted upon you. They will be addressed toward you. And this is not the words of righteous people. We're talking about the habit of cursing, perpetually cursing, a standard of cursing, where a person says, this is the way I talk, love it or leave it. Well, this is a big red flag. Therefore, leave it. Lying. Islamically, we know that a person cannot be a liar and a believer. So if you intend to marry someone, quote unquote, righteous, a believing mate, male or female, then lying would be a red flag. Deal breaker. Breaking promises. One of the signs of nifaq One of the signs of hypocrisy is when they promise, they break their promise. Breaking promises in Islam are a great matter. Breaking promises will have one obligated to seek kafara, which means kafara means to cover. That means you are covering your promise breaking, your failing of an oath. You are covering it with a good act. Now, that good act could be freeing of a slave, clothing indigent people, feeding indigent people, fasting, so on and so forth. These are acts that cover breaking of oaths and breaking promises. So if a person is consistently breaking promises, we're not saying they break promises and then they make kafara, because this can be a benign matter. For instance, they promise to give someone $20 and all they have is $20, but they found someone else in more of a need of that $20. So they gave it to the one that was in more of a need. So then they fasted in order to cover for breaking their promise. But constantly, consistently breaking promises, failing victory, not fulfilling oaths, all of these are major red flags for us as believers. TMI chat. TMI chat. When they over volunteer too much information, that information scares the lack of better terms, the bejesus out of you. It scares you. Okay? That volunteering too much information shows you that they're chatty. They're very chatty. And people that are very chatty about nonsensical things, TMI, too much information, they will be chatty once they found out about your information. These are major signs. Major, major signs. TMI chat. You didn't ask them, they volunteered it. And because of that, now you are in the throes of a person that is a chatterbox. As Loaded Lux would say, chatty patties. This is what we're dealing with. These are major signs. Ignore them if you will, to your own demise. Explicit sex chat. Remember, this is when seeking a mate. Explicit sex chat. I mean, sister, yeah, I mean, I understand, Islamic, we weren't supposed to ask certain questions, but, we're going to make this thing work. You got to tell me what you like in the bedroom, which is all learned behavior. It's all learned behavior. That means if someone knows it, someone else can learn it. The problem with explicit sex chat is that this is a sign that they are a major time waster. A major time waster, and they have their mind on something that is subsequent to the marital bond. It is not the main purpose of the marital bond, but subsequent to it. And what happens is that this individual wants to have uninhibited chat with you regarding the physical activities of the bedroom, when really, if you have something specific to ask the wali, ask the wakil. Say, could you find out this and that for me? Or could you be on the phone while we have this specific conversation where I tell her that I am a 1 minute man, or she tells me that I have no more desire for sexual relations, so on and so forth. These are things that should be discussed, but you cannot have explicit sex chat. What do you like? What if this and that happened? Even some things I don't even want to mention. See, I just caught myself. Some things I don't even want to mention. But explicit sex chat, always having, as Sister Isha Holder, mashallah, she gave me some good pointers. Always having sex on the mind. That's not the way real. Uh, That's not the way productive people function in society. Productive people don't always have sex on the mind because we are busy being productive. And then after we are productive, we go home, we relax, we shower, we wind down, and then we have our beautiful mates, male or female. Male if you are a female, and female if you're a male, of course. You have this situation, and then you uh, seek repose. You seek repose. You seek comfort in your mate after a hard day's work of being productive, whether a woman is working in the home, so on and so forth, taking care of the children. Uh, the man is working outside the home or in the home, taking care of the children. This matter is of the joys of nikah, the joys of marriage. But if a stranger, and you are a stranger until you marry her, when a stranger wants to have these types of conversations, these are major red flags. Major, major red flags. Girlfriends after Shahada, boyfriends after Shahada. If he is giving you, again, TMI chat, and I think some may say this is not TMI, this is very relevant. Yes, it is relevant. But if they are giving themselves up this way, saying, I'm just going to be honest with you, I've had a girlfriend, we broke it off because she didn't want to take Shahada, or I got religious, or she got religious, so on and so forth. This is a major red flag. This person doesn't have enough taqwa to hide their sin. They don't have enough taqwa not to go into that type of sin. And they, again, having TMI chat with you, too much information about this situation. If you find out that they had boyfriends, girlfriends after taking Shahada, then you should cut them. These are major red flags. You say, "But I want to marry them." Then this is your choice. I'm not saying it won't work or it won't last. I'm saying these are major red flags. You had girlfriends, she had boyfriends. These are major red flags. Now, I have one coming. The next one is going to talk about the societal double standard, the double standard that is imposed upon us by nature of male and female, and the double standard that is societal. We're going to talk about that, inshallah, on the next one or the next few ones uh, coming up. The topic will come up, if not the next, Ex-Faktly. But nevertheless, boyfriends, girlfriends after Shahada is a major red flag. Okay? Laziness. Now, why is laziness a red flag? Well, a man, from the man perspective, a man has to maintain and protect. You cannot be lazy, in your maintenance and your protection. You don't have to be wealthy or well off, despite what people are saying these days. But you cannot be lazy in doing so because you must be there to maintain. You cannot be late for work. You cannot be, carrying on acts that are going to harm the family ultimately, like being late for work. So laziness, or a person that can't, they have a high job turnover rate, meaning that they're on one job for a little while, then they jump from that job to another job. This is not a dependable, as far as a man is concerned, it's not a dependable quality. Laziness on the female side, she, you leave in the morning for work, you come back, she's in the very same position she was in when you left. I've experienced this. This is not a good look. This is not a good look. She's in the same position. She's watching the same, playback. I forgot what is the thing they use for the playback. But let's say she's watching a Love and Hip Hop marathon, and you get back home from work, and she is on episode 7, what have you, or episode 8, 9, whatever. She's there, and she hadn't done anything wifely. This is major signs. This is post nikah, of course, but you can notice some laziness. I've noticed laziness, like for instance, uh, I've given individuals a book. They said, "Hey, I would like to learn my deen." Uh, Do you have anything I can study? I said, okay, study this. And every time I spoke with them after that, they said they had not cracked the book yet. They have not read the chapter. They have not read the foreword. They have not read the introduction. They haven't even read the table of contents or index. Nothing they have read. So therefore, I take it that this individual is not sincere, and the ignorance that they display on social media and what have you is par for the course, to use a golf term. Lacking ilm, lacking knowledge, how long they have been Muslim is a factor. If a man has been Muslim a significant amount of time, he should know certain things. He should know certain things. I know that Al Fatiha is one of the first things a person would learn of Quran, or period. After Tawheed, you would learn Al Fatiha. I know people that, after being Muslim so many years, they butcher Al Fatiha. This is not a good sign. This shows, again, going back to laziness, but lacking of ilm. Ilm is needed in order to proceed. Ilm is needed in order to act, in order to lead your family. This person is lacking ilm of deen. They're lacking knowledge of the deen. Then, as a man, cannot lead the family. As a woman, lacking knowledge of the deen, if she is not devoutly obedient, then there will be a conflict. There will be a conflict with no conflict resolution. Why? Because you all don't have the knowledge you need in order to give each other rights, in order to function like a well-oiled married machine. Now, you are saying, obey me in this regard, and she says, I'm not going to obey you, so on and so forth. Where is it that I have to obey you? Well, this is certain knowledge that is needed, and if you don't have this basic knowledge, what happens is that the knowledge lacking knowledge of deen will become a major factor in whether or not you stay together. If someone does not get on it, get on their horse and ride like there's no tomorrow toward the knowledge of Islam, so that they can be a better wife or a better husband, then I don't see much hope in that. Having being Muslim a year, 2 years, what have you, and having not even a cursory knowledge of basic Islam is really dangerous, because you're not going to be the catalyst to make them study the deen. They have to have a passion with them. And any Muslim that has taken Shahada, most Muslims that have taken Shahada, that converted, they will even tell you that they studied more as a new Muslim than they do as a Muslim that had been Muslim for a few years. They studied more when they first became Muslim, because it was new, it was hot, and they really wanted to know their deen so that they could do what? Apply. They could apply their deen. So a person lacking deen, being Muslim for a significant amount of time, not knowing al-Fatiha properly, not knowing how to say assalamu alaikum, not knowing how to say wa alaikum assalam, you know, not knowing how to say yarhamakallah, not knowing how to say alhamdulillah, subhanallah, a'udhu billah, insha'Allah, masha'Allah, not, bi'idnillah, not knowing how to say these basic adhkar and things like that properly, is a sign that they have not taken their deen seriously, or they could be just repeating what they heard from other people that are butchering the Arabiya, so on and so forth. May Allah Ta'ala save us from that. Lacks in practice. Not only lacking knowledge of deen, but they are lax in their practice of the deen. Okay? They are lax in their practice of the deen. This goes back to laziness. Lax in their practice of the deen. We will see certain individuals say, I know this and that, but you don't see it reflective. I know I shouldn't be doing this and that. That means they are lax in their practice of the deen. I don't mean, well, it could include not praying on time. Let's say you guys are on the phone, you are talking, man with woman, woman with man. You are talking on the phone, and the adhan goes off. You say, "Oh well, I have to go make salat," and this is always the conversation. You are always the one that says, "I have to hang up. You have to make salat." Again, more experience from my side. They never say I have to go make salat. You know, other matters, the things that they post curse words, they post un-Islamic stuff, and when you correct them, they say, "Oh, I'm just sharing." Well, when as Muslims do we share what we do not agree with, unless we are, making known or manifesting our disagreement with a thing. Nevertheless, this is of the major red flags that indicate lack of deen. Indicate lack of deen. Now there are some. Of course, this is not obsolete. This is not all inclusive. I may be leaving out major stuff. You know, I didn't see fit to say, they pulled up, to your spot, popped the trunk, and it was a dead body. I don't have to say things like that. So there may be a lot of things that I'm leaving out, but I pray that I've gave it a general outline of what is affecting marriage before pre nikah. Okay, what will affect it, what is affecting it, why you maybe should consider pulling out if these things have manifest. You can hope for the best, but again, hope is something that Obama has. Okay, Obama propagated hope among the ignorant. So if you don't want to be ignorant, then don't just have hope, but tell them, I need you to change these matters, then holler back at me in a month. Holler back at me in a month. The non-dean red flags, non-dean red flags. The first ones were really affecting their dean, okay, or lack thereof. Now these are non-dean red flags, meaning that it may not indicate a lack of dean, but it's something that you might want to accommodate. You might want to uh, reconsider. You might want to have them again, give them the month. Say, look, you got 30 days to change some of this, or 60 days, or whatever you chose, 90 days to change some of this. Because although it's not a dean thing, or it's not showing that you don't have dean, but it's something that really concerns me. And one of them is income. A man, again, has to maintain. If he doesn't have enough income, it's for the woman to say, it's not a woman thing, it's only a man thing. It's for the woman to say, I will, because I like your dean, I like how you make me feel, how I think of you. You are a good practicing Muslim. You're just not in the financial situation that I would most prefer. And this is common for most of the Muslims. This is for most of the Muslims. They're in a situation, you know. I know brothers that have convenience stores. They might be pulling 25,000 a month, or 5,000, 10,000, 25,000 a month, selling, pumping alcohol, lottery, pork, whatever, into the society, naked magazines, into the society. And their wife is living very comfortable, and she has no complaints. She never come to the marriage and say, "Oh, my husband, he has this store. He's selling the hammer, and he's selling this and the drug paraphernalia." And no, you never hear that. You know why? They're living very, very comfortable. So income is a matter that sometimes overrides deen. But if you are, a lot of sisters are very sincere, and when they got them a good one, when they got them one, they will supplement his income or lack thereof in order to make this marriage work, because they feel like this person will be a good father. This person will be good stepfather, maybe, even if that's the situation. This person is deserving. This person is striving in the deen, and your economic status does not indicate how much deen you are practicing or how well you're deening. It does not indicate that. So income is a non-deen red flag, okay? Because you have to be maintained. If you don't have anything to contribute and he can't maintain you, then you might want to move around. Why? Because that will become an issue. That will stress him out even if he didn't have the income or have opportunities to advance based on his skill set. So that's one thing. Baby mamas and baby daddies. Baby mamas and baby daddies are non dean red flags. Not really saying anything about your dean, but you got baby mama. So the new wife or the to be wife might want to reconsider. Hey, I don't want to go through that. And there's too much going on with the baby mama thing. Not saying you have other wives. That's different than having baby mamas. Baby mamas tend to try to manipulate and use the child and pick them up at the wrong times, and they want to be the one to bring them to the front door so they can look inside and see how you're living. and all these different type of things. And if they feel like you are enjoying life in their life, they want to cripple you with child support and things like that. So you have to consider those things. Also with baby daddies, you marry a woman and she got rough, rugged, and street side, baby daddies, and and they expect better of you, but they were just thugging it out, just a month before they met you. They were just thugging it out. Dude got locked up. You saw the khul'ah, you got out of the marriage. Now next month you want to marry a brother that's not like that. But for years y'all was thugging it out and you was a partner in crime. But nevertheless, you got these baby daddies that want to knock on the door. They're not respectful. I'm not gonna talk to that dude. I don't know that dude. I don't know that dude. Maybe they're Catholic baby daddies. I don't know that dude. I'm not gonna talk to. I'm gonna talk to you. So now they're in direct contact with your wife. So that's like a headache. You got to decide whether or not you want baby daddies. Okay. Ex-con. He's an ex-con. He's been to jail. Maybe he'll go back. Maybe he's been in and out of jail. Okay. That's a consideration. You might say, "Oh yeah, I heard you went to prison for attempted murder. Wouldn't you fall?" Yes, I said it's a non-deen red flag. It's not about his deen. His deen can be superb. El Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, went to prison. Yusuf alayhi salam went to prison. So being an ex-con doesn't indicate even that you're guilty. This is America. This is America. You don't have to be guilty to go to prison, and you don't have to be innocent you know, to avoid prison. You'll go to prison pretty much not guilty on many different levels. So, but a person being an ex-con, you might want to check and see if they did change their lifestyle. What did they go for? You need to know. You need to know. And this is not spying. This is not snooping. When it comes to marriage, you are allowed to ask those critical questions. You're allowed to ask those critical questions, and you should not feel as if you are in some type of violation by asking these questions because it's about you. You know, an ex-con does not just, subhanAllah, ex-con is not just men. There are women. I know women with some records, okay? There are women with some records. And that is, you know, women with some records. And that's an issue. That's an issue. Okay. Moving on. Okay. Excessive ex-spouse chat. Now that comes from the baby daddy, baby mama. There's too much contact with the ex. Now a lot of people don't mind. A lot of people don't mind. Oh, oh well, that's her. That's the father of her children. I'm allow them to talk, so on and so forth. And I mean, long as it's about the baby, long as it's about the baby. Well, you got to understand how exes work, especially if they're not Muslim, especially if they, from her report, oh, this person wasn't really that good of a Muslim. So, what am I going to do? Allow him, not very good Muslim, to communicate with my new wife, his ex-wife? I mean, does that happen? Is that what I'm going to do? I don't think so. He doesn't have the self-control, you know. Maybe that contributed to them divorcing, Allahu Alam. Nevertheless, she talks about her ex-spouse too much. He talks about his ex-wife too much. Everything is a comparison. Not necessarily negative, but mashallah, I am so happy that you are this way because my ex-wife was not that way. Or she'll say, "Oh, baby, I'm so blessed to have you. My ex-husband didn't do such and such and such that you do." So that is a non-deen red flag. Not necessarily saying their practice or inability to practice or reluctance to practice or their laziness in practicing. It doesn't have anything to do with that. This excessive ex-spouse chat is going back to the TMI, but not quite that much. But I don't care what the ex-spouse didn't do. I'm practicing my deen and not competing with their deen or lack thereof. It's not a competition for me. I know my duty. I'm going to carry my duty, inshallah ta'ala, as Islam says. And I will soon know if that ex was at fault. She will soon know if my ex was at fault. You know. Nevertheless, excessive ex-spouse chat. It's a non-dean red flag, not necessarily a deal breaker, but correct it, try to move on, give them 30 days. Say, look, I need this to change because it's not something I want to, be doing for the rest of my life, discussing your ex. You know, I'm a type of person, I'll be like, is there any way y'all can get back together? Is there anything I can do to accommodate that? Because I think y'all miss each other. That's the way I roll. Mental health. Another gem from Sister Isha Holder. Mental health. I think she mentioned that. I think Brother Atiba mentioned that as well. Uh, Mental health is very important to know a person's mental health. There have been incidents and instances where a man would be discussing with a woman pre nikah and something of mental health would come out. I don't mean flaw, character flaw. I'm talking about mental health. Like this person is like butter pecan nutty. You know what I'm saying? Butter pecan ice cream nutty. There's a lot of chunks of nuts in their head, and they have some issue. Now you may not know the I don't know what my wife is calling me for, but you may not know why uh, they said what they said, but that has to raise a red flag in your mind because the interaction of a mentally unstable person, they overreact. They may be extreme bipolar. Now, many of us are of the opinion that all women are bipolar. Okay, some have extremes above others, but nevertheless, we we can pinpoint without being professional that response to that incident was overboard. That was too much. Or some some incident happened and they were nonchalant about it. It's kind of like when Eddie Murphy said, uh, he said back in the day he was able to hit a woman. This is part of his delirious raw stand up. He said you'd be like, psh, and they go, oh, but baby, that's your fault. You made me do that. Don't make me do it again. And she said, oh, that's all right. Why don't you just go to sleep? You see, that response is one where you may not, actually wake up. You may not actually wake up. So therefore, it is very, very, very important that when you see signs of mental health, that you within your rights have some mental checkup. Say, look, let's both give a mental analysis. Now, the only issue that comes up is that the professional that you seek may not be Islamically sound. They may be skilled and or taught in the Sigmund Freud, and these other European idiots, Kafir idiots. You might want to go to someone qualified Islamically, not just a person that's a Muslim that is on that Sigmund Freud crap, but a person that is actually, Islamically sound and will apply Islam to understand the mental fortitude of that particular individual that you are seeking to marry, male or female. Mm. Moving past non-dean red flags, let us move into red flags with a hint of gray. Red flags with a hint of gray. These are not things that saying, hey, the dean is in question. These are not things that say something is questionable, but it's not necessarily uh, dean related. Okay, this is red flags with a hint of gray, meaning this is conspicuous. There's something there. There's a history of domestic violence. One, two, three incidents. One, two, three wives, maybe. History of domestic violence. Now, why do I say gray? You say no, gray. That's not gray. That's full red. That's holly red. That is a Christmas red, even. No, not necessarily, because see, all domestic violence come from the male or female side. First of all, okay, we know this firsthand. Uh, also, also, all domestic violence may not be correct. I know for a fact. Women have put on makeup. They were crying, 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 put on makeup. The mascara started to run. They made it look like bruises. I know for a fact that has happened. Called and had the man locked up for a month and a half before they found out that he didn't do it, or investigated that he didn't do it. So this is the problem. So just because a person has a domestic violence case or domestic violence history or report does not mean they have domestic violence in their history. It means that they were accused of such or convicted of such, but it does not imply guilt. Man, we live in America. All likewise with women. There are women from certain parts of the United States that go in on men. They hit men. They stab men. They hurt men. Men defend themselves, even hold the woman from hurting them, and the man goes to jail because she has bruises on her wrist. So that's why I say gray. Now, if this is known domestic violence by the man upon the woman or by the woman upon the man, then it moves to the top category. It is affecting Dean. Is affecting Dean. Okay, and you should not marry them. It is not a non-dean red flag. It is a red flag according to the dean, but I moved it down to red flag with a hint of gray. Why? Because this is not always the case as it seems to be. A deadbeat. I've been called a deadbeat. You know, I know brothers that are very active or want to be active in their child's life. Deadbeat is usually determined by the woman, and this is not always the case. Deadbeat means he ain't having loose conversation with her. He ain't having loose conversation with her. That could be deadbeat. Deadbeat could mean that he's sending money that he can. He ain't sending all of his money to debilitate himself where he cannot support his children and family that he's with now. You know, deadbeat could be that he's not getting his rights upon that child. So he said, I'm backing all the way up until I can get my rights, you know. What about the child? What about the child? See, that's a woman thing. Women always say, what about the child? What about the child? Well, if it's about the child, then where's the man rights? Children need fathers. The higher percentage of people in prison didn't have a father. Many of them, it was not the father's fault that they were not in the child's life. Many of those cases, it was the woman's fault that they were not in that child's life, so they become a statistic. Whether this is the sexual preference, imprisonment, violence, gangs, drug abuse, it all ties back. A major part of it ties back to what? Lack of a fatherly figure, lack of the biological father in that child's life. What is another major factor why men are not in certain children's lives? It is the mother themselves. I mentioned to you, I love my mother. I love my mother with all of my heart, as much as I can give her. Okay? She is passed now. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. She is passed now, but she did the best she could, but she made some bad choices, and she kept my father aloof. My dad was aloof, and he could not actively participate in my life. I needed a father. I needed a daddy. I did. And this is common with a lot of women. No matter how much you love them, no matter how much you know, mommy, 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 this is happening on a drastic scale and is affecting society. Very, very negative. Very negative. So we move from that and say that deadbeat is gray, red flag with a hint of gray. Why? Because deadbeat, I should say, my misspeak, is determined mostly by the women, by the woman, by the mother, and this is not always the case. When they cannot manipulate, the man becomes a deadbeat. Now, as far as a deadbeat mom, it is easier to notice that one because these are women. They stay in the nightlife, they stay in the club, they stay moving around. You can tell by the pictures that they post. A lot of deadbeat moms have the children with them, and they are deadbeat because they're dancing in the TikTok video or dancing in on social media or posting on social media indecently while the child is in the background. This is what's happening. So that's a deadbeat while you are actually in the company of the child. So it goes both ways. Their children don't pray. I'm not specific about age. My children generally start praying when they are before they turn 2 they're not praying their 5 salawat whether I'm there or not. No, they start imitating the prayer. My children, they start off with Baba Baba, pick me up. So I gotta pick them up and hold them during the salah like what Salah used to do. Then when I make ruku, I have to put them down. Then I will resume picking them up, after I come up from the second sajda, So again, this type of thing, this is how they love the prayer because daddy's holding them, daddy's putting them down, daddy's prostrating over them. They tend to love the prayer for that, and then they start to grab the rug and pray by themselves. If there's multiple children, they tend to fight over the rugs, so on and so forth. So these are signs that daddy is praying. There was an instance where a woman moved into my home with two small children. She said they don't like to pray. One of them was school age. They don't like to pray. They don't, that they know. Well, they immediately when I started praying, they jumped in line with me. I said, "Hey, let's pray." So they jumped in line. They wanted to know how to do it. So well, that means they weren't seeing any prayer prior. And you might say, "Oh no, it may not mean that." Well, Allahu A'lam. My experience with children, I have 8 of my own. My experience with children is that they normally imitate what they see, especially if they see frequent prayer in the house. So if the man brings children around you and the children are not accustomed to praying, that means that man most likely is not praying around his children, or he doesn't get them involved in the prayer. If a woman brings children around you and the children don't pray, that is a sign. It is a red flag with a hint of gray that the children are not in the praying mode. Okay, they're not accustomed to seeing that. Moving on from that, argues with ex. Not only communicates excessively, ex-spouse chatting about the ex, but they are in communications on the phone or on social media with the ex, and they argue. Like, what are you arguing for? If y'all have some undissolved issues, then I will divorce you, allow y'all to handle that, then holla back if I'm in the mood. If I'm in that same, line of thinking, and I feel like you are, you know, welcome back, then I'll invite you back. But y'all need to get rid of that because that excessive arguing with ex, like, man, look, I'm not going to have you all emotional about some dude that's not in our relationship. Be emotional about me. Be mad at me. You can't be mad at a stranger. And the same with a man. He's constantly on the phone cursing out his ex-wife or whatever, baby mama, whatever. He's constantly doing all that. Hey, that's not a good sign either. That's a red flag with a hint of gray. He may have been done very wrong. She may have been done very wrong, but you got to cut the conversation. All that emotion should be turned into positive, and it should be, uh, something, that is, that energy should be going toward, something positive instead of negative, arguing with your ex. That's a problem. Red flag with a hint of gray, arguing with the ex. They follow celebrities on social media. Now I don't understand it. Um, you know I don't understand it. You can say, oh, that's you personally. Okay, well, if you follow celebrities on social media, I question your level of intellect. I question your level of intellect. You're following who follows celebrities? Who does that? It's a certain mentality, that follows celebrities on social media. You want to know about their life. You're not going to get their life. You're not going to get their life. Their relationships are concocted. Who they have children by concocted. Whether or not they marry or not are concocted. Who they break up with or not is concocted. Okay? This is through their managers and their handlers and their agents and so on and so forth. This is what that's about. Oh, don't get married right now. That's bad for your career. Oh, don't be with this person because that's bad for your career. You're pregnant. Oh, you gotta abort it. You gotta abort this child. It will kill. It will kill your career. You know, uh, these matters, these celebs are not as you see them or as they appear to be. And if you are following them, that tells me that your head is in the clouds somewhere. And if a man is following celebrities, that's sus. You know, a sus on what level? Okay, he's following male celebrities. That's sus. Are you trying to live vicarious through them? You're following female celebrities. What's that about? That's a sign that he's not a emotionally stable person. He's following these female celebrities, which you know, of course, they're not going to be right, as far as the way they were dressed, the way they present themselves, so on and so forth. So again, this is something that we really, really should keep in mind. Keep in mind. We should keep these matters in mind when we are looking for red flags. But these are red flags with a hint of gray. Follows fashion trends, the latest shoes. He's standing in line for Nikes. He's standing in line for Xbox. He's standing in line for Jordans. He got to be one of the first ones to get it. For what? It doesn't increase your status in life. Who admires you for having Jordans? Who admires you for those expensive whatever you're wearing? Who admires you for that? I'm saying, who admires you for that? Not the right people, not the right people, but the most unintelligent, you know, low level of mankind, you know, admire you for how well you keep up with the fashion trends. That's what we're doing, okay? You're keeping up with the fashion trends, it is a problem. Following celebrities online, problem, okay? Last one I'll mention about the red flags with the hint of gray is that they keep kafir company. Now, there are two kinds of dawah that are made. One dawah is that you are giving dawah. That's one dawah, the dawah that you give. Second dawah is the dawah you receive. You're keeping kafir company. On what capacity are you keeping the company? Are you establishing a relationship with them in order to give them the dawah, or are you just keeping their company because they're cool people in your estimation? Why are you keeping their company? This is the question rhetorical. So this is a big sign. She Kafir, all Kafirs all on our social media, which is not, like I say, not a red flag, but a red flag with a hint of gray. Means there's some ambiguity there. Uh, you know, she hangs out with Kufar. I'm gonna go out with my friends. We're going where? We're going out to eat. These are all Kafirs. You giving dawah to them? Oh no, these just my friends from work. See, problematic, problematic, problematic. He keeps kafir company. Where you going? Oh, I'm finna go hang out with, well, man, I mean, it's after Maghrib. How you gonna pray Isha? How you gonna pray Isha? I'll find somewhere to pray. This, and that. Just hanging out with kafirs is a bad space to be in, especially if you're not giving dawah, because the other dawah is being given to you. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, I need to run out of this because I didn't want to be this long with it, but alhamdulillah, if it benefits, it benefits. Intangible red flags that you cannot put your finger on. Okay, these red flags, intangible red flags. They say I got a gut feeling about something. If it's not based on intelligence, who cares? Uh, I got a bad feeling about you. Okay, fine, wonderful. Go feel around somewhere else. You know, hope you feel better. You know, uh, women's intuition, non-intellectual. It's not based on anything tangible, so it's intangible. And if you want to roll with this, I'd rather use something that you can actually put your finger on, something that can be sensed, something that can be sensed, something that can be intellectualized. But to say you have a gut feeling, it's gonna make me laugh from the gut. I'll laugh from the gut. Post nikah red flags. This is after the nikah. Now you're already in it. You ignored the ones that were obvious, the red flags that were obvious. Now you are in the marriage. Um, Now you're noticing some other things, subhanAllah, which of course, according to the advice of Omar Radiallahu An, in order to know a person, you have to do three. One is travel with them, not travel out of town, go meet at a hotel with them, but travel with them. That is one of the ways you can know a person. Secondly, do business with them. Do business with them. Not buy a scarf from them or you buy some leather socks from them or a thobe from them. No, actually do business, conduct business with them. Okay? Lastly, live with them. So now you're living together and you are really getting to know each other more than what you could do a part. Okay, so you're noticing how they interact with their children, not in a good way. Maybe the language you didn't hear before. They were in good behavior with you prior, but the language they use toward their children, the threats, the way that they interact, jerking the arm, ya Allah. I mean, just rough, interact, you know, don't change the diaper right away, you know, uh, you know, babies crying, they're not attentive for that, so on and so there's a lot of different things. So the way they interact with their children can be a sign for you, as a man. Watch her interact with her children. uh she watches you interact with your children. Those are signs. Okay, but this after marriage has already been done. How are you going to remedy that? Discussion, talk about it. Let's powwow. How they interact with their children, how they interact with your children. I'm gonna tell you one of the scariest things, and I mentioned it before. One of the scariest things ever happened. Now I have my children over, and it was always from one individual. It was always, when is your daughter coming? When is your daughter coming? When they had a daughter back then. When is your daughter coming? When is your daughter coming? Well, look, don't stress me out about that. I'm working it out. So then it was telling other people I'm uncomfortable when his daughter's over here. That scared me because this is a child. So now I can't even go to the corner store. I can't even go outside and cut the grass and leave my daughter inside because that two-facedness translates into I don't feel comfortable with you around my child all alone. Ultimately, I'm not going to feel comfortable about you at all. You know what I'm saying? Because children need protection. And if we are shisty and two-faced and we speak ill of children like I got like some a bunch of saved going to heaven folks, saved Negroes did about my children, so on and so forth. I'm good with you. I'm good with you. I'll never trust you. I'll never trust you. I'm good with you. Don't need you. Wish I never met you. You know what I'm saying? You're no good. And I pray Allah protect your children from you. Nevertheless, uh, unkept home. Unkept home. Mm. Red flag post nikah. Maybe you can catch this before. I caught one incident post nikah. The house was filthy. The house looked like you can grow potatoes on the living room floor if you wanted to. That much dirt. I sucked it up and continued forward like an idiot because I was thinking about the three orphan children in that situation. I thought Allah Ta'ala would bless me. I can get rid of some sins, so on and so forth. That's the way I was thinking. I was a fool. I was a fool. You were a fool. That's the old song. Nevertheless, let's man, I don't want to I don't want to scare anyone away from doing good deeds. And one brother said, well, how about you just give sadaqah and move around, without marrying. But see, when a person is seeking to marry, I'm not seeking to find a place to put sadaqah. Sadaqah doesn't fulfill what I'm trying to fulfill with marriage. Okay, I get some sadaqah. I say, oh, it doesn't work like that. I'm not gonna relieve myself of sadaqah. So I'm actively looking for a wife. I come across a situation. I say, wow, I can get a wife and do some good to the orphans, which Allah Ta'ala speaks highly of in the Quran. So I'm thinking like that. So when I saw the unkept home, I didn't back out. I was foolish. May Allah Ta'ala forgive me and save me from ever doing that again. But after marriage, post nikah, let's say you go off to work, which I've also experienced that. You go off to work, you come home, and the house is a mess. The house is a mess. Okay. It don't keep a well doesn't keep the house up well. Another instance. Okay. Unkept hygiene. I could have titled this or labeled this like more like to the point, but I'm gonna leave it open and say unkept hygiene. You saw something, you smelt something, okay, and it's not normal, okay. It's not normal. So therefore, this is after marriage. Now, how do you remedy that? You say, hey, you need to set up a doctor's appointment, so on and so forth, now see STD, you do those checks and people do those checks and that's fine. uh, Even highly recommended, if not some say obligatory in this time and age. Because Muhammad said when zina is prevalent in society, more new diseases will occur. So therefore, it's something that you want to look into prior. But after nikah, you smell it. You smell his side of the story, and you don't like the way his side smell. He's not very hygienic, or he didn't consider you before he wanted to get intimate. He should have showered. He should have done this. He should have bought some oils. He should have baby powdered himself. Spruced himself up, shaved and trimmed and made himself presentable to you. Brushed his teeth, so on and so forth. Hey, he approaches you in that matter. That's a hygiene thing, and that's something that comes organically. It's not a mistake that he made. Okay, same with her. However you get down, you got a little too close. You smelled something that is not to your liking. So now, wow, I'm in this thing. So what are we gonna do? Okay, let's set up an appointment. Let's see what that problem is. You know, so on and so forth. I mean, it happens. Okay, so this is something sometimes we find out after nikah. If you marry virgins, this could also be a possibility when it comes to virgins because they are not used to, what have you, intimate like that, and they never noticed. Not necessarily, it may not be not necessarily a disease or something like that or some type of ailment, uh, but it can happen. It can happen. Okay. Moving on from that, I was uncomfortable. So moving on from that, social media activities remain single. Single in quotation marks. Social media activities remain single. Single. What did I mean? That means that she functioned single. She was posting glamour shots. You know, I know a lot of married sisters, they function single, and you'd be surprised that they're actually married because they move around and they post like they don't have a husband. Okay, so you marry her and she's still posting single. So brothers are like, "Mashallah, you're so beautiful." Dot 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 dot. She's still posting single. That's problematic. That's post nikah problematic. Now, how does he post single? Well, there's no such thing. If he had four wives, then he cannot post as if he's single and he's looking, unless he's looking to replace, which is allowed. So this is one of the things. Again, we're going to cover double standards, if not next, soon. And double standards, the natural ones, the ones that are imposed by society, the ones imposed by Dean, so on and so forth. We're going to talk about those. But nevertheless, she is functioning single. I don't think this applies to the man. Well, you can't be talking to, you don't own your man. You are closer to your man owning you than you owning your man. Muhammad said, women are like prisoners under your care, so therefore treat them kindly. He never said men are like prisoners under a woman's care. You are not in that type of air. You're not in that type of authority. Hey, this is the Dean of Islam. It's not the Dean of you. Okay, it's not the Dean of you. It's the Dean of Islam. You can disagree, but I have the Adillah Qat'iyah, the definitive evidences on my side. Okay, definitive evidences on my side. Last one I'll mention because I'm running long, long, long. Unexplained absences. Now, does this also translate to men? A woman, unexplained absences. Where have you been? Why you ask me where I've been? Oh, wow, you're not my dad. Yeah, see, I'm not your dad when it's come time to pay your bills. I'm not your dad when your phone bill is due. I'm not your dad when your car note is due. I'm not your dad in this situation. I'm not your dad when there's a bump outside, a noise outside, and someone has to go. I'm not your dad. None of those situations. You know what I'm saying? I am your husband. Therefore, where have you been? Where have you been? You know. situations. I've known of situations. I've been through situations, where you would ask where you been, and the person would snap on you. You say, "Oh, okay. Well, you've answered more than what I asked." Well, if you've answered exactly what I asked, you answered more than what I've asked. Unexplained absences. How would we apply this to a man? Where you been? Why? Well, I was worried about you. Okay, well, don't worry, babe. I'm okay. But you didn't answer my call. You didn't answer my look. Hold on. What are we doing here? Well, that's not fair. That's not. Hold on. I'm a man. You're a woman. Your duty is not to protect me. Your duty is to protect me from temptation. And I'm supposed to, when I get tempted outside of this home, I'm supposed to rush back to my home. That's your duty. I haven't been tempted. I'm not rushing back for that particular purpose. Okay. So therefore, pump your brakes. Realize that I'm the man. I don't have to explain my absence. I don't have to explain my absence. Now, you're perfectly within rights to do so. Or if you're a little bit more suave, a little bit more slick, what will you say? You will say, "Oh, babe, I was handling some business. Don't trouble yourself about it. I apologize. I had my phone on silent. So on and so forth. Or I left the phone in the car. Whatever. I apologize for that. I did see that you called, but I was on my way home, so I didn't want to trouble you. I'm here now, baby. Are you okay?" You know, there's a way, but nevertheless, women need to stop checking men, because I know a lot of sisters talk about how they check men. Like, you are so undesirable. You are so undesirable. How do you check a man? That is one of the most masculine, macho things I've ever heard in my life. I checked him. Nah, you can't check a man. You can't check a man. You can't check a man. You can't check a believing man. We ain't putting up with it. Has Muhammad Sallam ever been checked? It's not something that we're going to put up with. It is a red flag for us, okay, that you checked us, okay? You think that we are on the same footing and we ain't splitting the bills 50-50? You know? No. So again, those are the red flags. What I've stated is not obsolete. It is not infinitely, presented. There are some mistakes therein. I am sure of it. And all mistakes are from myself. Any truth that I tell is from Allah Ta'ala. I pray for His blessings. I pray for His blessings. If I make mistakes, I pray for His forgiveness. If I make mistakes, if I told the truth, I pray for His blessing. I should have said. Nevertheless, this and these are the red flags. Those that indicate lack of deen, those that are non-deen red flags, those that are red flags with a hint of gray, red flags that are intangible, and post-nikah red flags that you may not have seen prior to the marriage. I pray that someone will benefit from the discussion. May Allah Ta'ala bless me, bless you, guide me, guide you. Forgive me, forgive you. This has been Saad Imam for Ex-Faktly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.